Hi guys, this is Gal from wp.codes, and this is my second tutorial on how to make a slider using ACF, Advanced Custom Fields plugin. And in this tutorial we are going to improve our slider so it can have an unlimited number of images. And just keep in mind that in order to do that we are going to use the Gallery Addon for ACF, which costs 25 Australian dollars, but it's well worth it and you can do a lot of stuff with it, not just the slider. And you will also get it if you buy the Advanced Custom Fields Pro version. By the way, this was the flexible contact field, but this is the gallery field and they cost the same. Anyway, let's get started. So this is my slider and this is how it looks like in a post. And if I go to edit the post, you will see that now I actually have a gallery right here, and I can add as many images that I want into it. And I will show you later on how easy it is, but for now just take a look and you can see that I can reorder stuff and everything like that. So it's a very nice slider going to be. Anyway, let's get started. Okay guys, so once we installed Advanced Custom Fields Pro, we will go to the field group just like we did before, and we are going to add a new field group. And we can name it whatever we want. I'm just going to call it WPC for WP Codes Slider. And I'm going to add just one field and I will call it same thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but for me it's a pretty good name, WPC Slider. This is going to be the field name. And the field type, we are going to choose a gallery. And that's it pretty much. So we can just make sure that this will be in the post type that we want. In our case it's a post, so we don't need to change anything. And let's click publish. Now if I go to a post, say this hello world post, and let me just show you how it looks right now. It's going to look the same, just an hello post, hello world post. We are going to add images into the gallery right now. So let me choose some images, this one, this one, and this one. And let me make sure that this will be the first one. No reason, just the way I want it. And let's click update. And obviously if I do a refresh here, we won't see anything because I didn't make any change to the code. But let's get started now with the coding stuff. So let's go to the content.php. So in my code, if I type something right here, here I am, and I do a refresh, you can see that this is where I am. Here I am, right above the hello world title. So just like before, I just wanted to remind you. And we also have this JavaScript for the slider that I did in the previous tutorial, which we are going to use. So let's get into the PHP code now. So let's open a PHP tag and just fix this so it will be right here and this will be right here. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to need the gallery variable, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's create a variable and I will call it a slider images, and it will be equal to the get field WPC. I think I call it WPC slider. And let me see if this is right. So I will go for one moment to the to my dashboard, to the custom fields, and to WPC slider. And what I want to know is the name of this field. So it's WPC slider. And it's a good thing that I show you. I mean, I wanted to show you how I find out what's the name in case you forget. So let's go back to our hello world post and let's continue. So I have this slider images variable which get a WPC slider field, and let's echo it just so you can see what we get. Let's refresh and you can see that we are getting an array. Now this array contains all the images in the slider, so it will contain this image and this image and this image. And what we are going to have to do, we are going to have to run in a loop on all of those images and we are going to need to output them. We are going to need the URL, so we can actually make a slider out of them. But for now, let's just do a for each loop, so we can loop over all those images. So for each loop, it goes like this. You should know, but I'm going to explain it anyway. We need to say what we want to, on what array we are going to do it. So we're going to do it on the slider images. And we are going to create a kind of variable that is only going to be in the loop, and we are going to call it slider image for one image. And actually, let me just call it image. Image. And now let me echo the image itself. So echo image, and let me refresh. And you can see now that we are getting 1 array, 2 array, 3 array, 4 arrays. And the reason we are getting 4 arrays is because we have 4 images. Now, the reason we are getting an array is because an image in the gallery is actually an array. So we have an array inside of an array, and the reason it is because an image contains a few things. So it's not just the URL of the image. If we take a look right here, let me show you the code in the documentation. An image has an ID, it has an alternative text, it has a title, it has the URL, it has a type, it has all of those things. So all of those things are saved in an array. So if we want to get the URL, what we need to do is to say image URL, and let me save this. Now let's do a refresh, and we're actually getting the URL of each of the images, which is what we need. So now all we need to do is just make sure it goes into the slider. So that's pretty easy. So before we start the loop, we will make an ordered list. And I'm going to call it WPC slider, just like before. And let's do this. And right here, after our for each loop, we are going to close this URL. And now we're going to echo the list items. And we want it to be inside an image, so image src. And what we want in the image src, we want image URL. And let's close this, and let's close the li. And let's save. And now we can see that the images are working, but for some reason it didn't get into the slider. So let's see why. And the reason it doesn't work is because I don't need a quote symbol here, I need it right here. Now let me save, because this is the class and it needs to be inside a quote. And let me refresh. And now we have our slider, and it's working. So that's it, guys. Now we have a slider that can have an unlimited number of images using the Gallery Addon, and it's a pretty simple code. Now there is one issue that I want to show. If we go to a post that doesn't have a slider, like this one or this one, we get some errors. And the way we are going to fix that is by a simple statement, if statement, that makes sure that there are images. So before we do those stuff, we are just going to make sure that there are images in our slider images field. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to do an if, and just if slider images. Make sure it's not some null object. Let's open it right here, and let's just close it right here. So right now we are making sure that there are images before we are actually doing our slider. And let me save, and let me refresh in the hello world. Obviously it's still working. And now if we go to the lorem ipsum that doesn't have a slider in it, it's also fine. There is no error. So that's it, guys. Now I'm really done. And the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to control the options of our slider right from WordPress, how we can do that, so we can allow our client to change stuff like the speed of the slider and stuff like that right from the WordPress dashboard. Alright, guys, see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.